We are learning on page 47a. We've been learning about actually a number of different laws regarding honoring someone, giving someone else honor. And when does that apply? When is one obligated to show honor to others? And so let's go over the Gemara that we learned earlier. We were talking about the Parsium, the Persians. So that was on 46b, and so let's just go over that. The Gemara brought from the exilarch Reish Galusa told Rav Sheshis. What did he tell him? That the Persians, and said, even though you people are rabbis or are scholars, but the Persians are even more experts than you in regarding the proper way of etiquette for meals. And what he's basically saying is, I follow them. At least some of the commentaries add that's what this exilarch is saying. Now, it's hard for us to relate to these things because we don't recline when we have a meal. So it's not can't say that we're going to really understand the discussion here, but we're learning it. And what's interesting is that he's saying he learned this from the Persians. Like, why is he learning stuff from the Persians? You would think, you learn something from special people and so on. And in fact, there is a source that says in Torah that says that the Persians, they look good on the outside, but on the inside, they were quite evil. And so that's what makes it even more surprising that he's learning from the Persians. But what it seems like is you take the best and you learn from all people. Loi made me call Adam. You're supposed to learn from all people. And that's this. The exilarch said that he learned from the Persians about how to, show respect during a meal. So he mentions about when they would recline, the greatest person would be seated first and recline first, and the next to him in importance, he would recline beroish, which is, I'm sorry, not beroish, lamaila himen was the term. He would recline above the important person. So the second to importance would recline, so to speak, above him, meaning by the head of the first person, of the important person. And if there's three people, then the most important person is in the middle, and the second to important is above him, and the third one is below the important person. So you have, Simone actually sent us I should have forwarded it, but I thought it was pretty obvious what it says here. I mean, I don't know if we can relate to it, but the picture is not, I don't think it's that necessary. But anyway, bottom line is that the important person was either in the middle or below, and the second to importance was above, meaning by the head of the important person, and the lesser important person, the third to greatest, was below, meaning by the feet of the important person. So Rav Sheshis was a little surprised. He says, so who does he talk to? How does he talk to the second to important person? How does he speak to him if he's above him? So he said that the Persians, they do a lot of hand gestures, and so therefore it's not important. So that's also like an interesting thing. What is the concept here there must be some spiritual, I'm sure there's deeper meanings to this Gemara, maybe in the Kabbalistic books, or what this really means, that they would hand gesture. Why would they? What was their style to hand gesture? There must be some deeper understandings here. But the Gemara continues, and it says that what about Mayim Rishonim? What about washing for bread? And the Gemara says that the greatest person would wash first. This is also like a concept of respect. Greatest person washes first. He says, what? You're going to have the great person washing first, and everyone's going to wait for him. So he says that no, you don't need that. They don't have to wait for him. They would bring the table to him right after. He doesn't have to wait for them. Excuse me. Does he have to wait for everyone else? He washes first. Does he have to wait for everyone else? So the thing is, the Gemara says that they bring the table to him and let him eat right away, and it's not a problem. He's allowed to eat right away. Now,
question?
Yes.
What is this? I guess this is the first time when we read about eating that there's this whole process of reclining. Were the Persians the exceptions to this, or was that one of the practices that you reclined while you ate? I don't understand that.
Yeah, no. So that was the reclining part. Although I'm saying it's hard for us to relate to because we don't recline.
We don't do
that
it.
Was
right.
the common.
Okay.
That was common amongst important people. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
That's
Just
why
want
we recline. That's why we recline at Pesach to show ourselves.
Yeah.
But you're right. We don't. Yes. Yes. Yes, Ben.
Actually, I read. Oh, I'm on mute. I'm sorry.
No, I hear you. We hear you.
Actually, I read that the Romans were reclining too, the rich people when they were eating, and the British were doing the same with the people that they thought were important people. When they were eating, they were reclining too. They were laying basically, eating and drinking, laying down. I don't know.
Right.
Halfway laying down. So it was not just the Jews, not just the Persians.
Yeah. No, that was the answer that I was giving Robert, that it was common amongst all people. That's not the unique thing of the Persians. What he's mentioning about the Persians is the method of their the order of their reclining, the setup of the reclining, but not the actual reclining with some. Now, I should mention here that there is a difference of opinion among the commentaries. Like, what exactly is the Gemara asking? That the person is going to sit there and wait and wash his hands until everyone else comes to sit down. So if you look, Rashi says that they would bring the table right away to him, and and he would eat. That one word is a very important word. That the way Rashi is understanding it is that you're going to make him wait to eat. That's the issue. And the Gemara answers, no, we don't make him wait to eat. We're going to bring the table in front of him and immediately, and he'll eat it. And he'll eat right away. He doesn't have to wait. Now, the other commentaries mention here that it's not about eating right away. It's, in fact, he wouldn't start eating right away, according to the other some of the other commentaries. But rather, it was about having to watch that his hands do not touch anything. And since he would recline, and the table was in front of him. So therefore, his mind is on the food already, and he doesn't have to concentrate on watching that his hands stay pure and clean. And this is the way the other commentaries say. So according to them, he's not really eating right away. He's actually waiting for everyone, but it's not a problem. Now, the Gemara continues and then says, the mayim achroin. What about the water which is washed after the meal? Now, after the meal, different reasons for the mayim achroinim. One of the reasons is because there used to be a salt that was dangerous, and that people had in their food and their bread, and therefore, a person it was dangerous if they might touch their eye, or they could become blind. Other reasons to wash off their hands from the food, from the schmutz that's on their hands. So basically, the mayim achroinim, the water that's washed after the meal, where then would they begin? And on that it says min hakoton, from the person who was from the least important. And on that, Rav Sheshas asked, well, what about the important person? Is just going to stay there while his hands are mezoyham, while his hands are dirty? You're going to make him wait. Imagine, when your hands are sticky, it's not comfortable, right? You're not comfortable. You're going to make this person wait till his. So the Gemara answers, no, they didn't remove the table. Reish Kalusa, the Exelarch, answered Rav Sheshas, no, they didn't remove the table until they would bring the water before him. So he was still eating, so he didn't care to wash his hands, and it wasn't an issue. Now, what is the reason why the washing of the hands after the meal? The Gemara is saying he's going to sit there and his hands are dirty. So the thing is that
I think I will get that dress for wearing in the house. It's better than this rip stuff I'm wearing,
Mm-hmm.
Great book. Right.
Okay. So the Gemara is saying that so he's going to sit there and his hands are dirty until everyone washes. So it's uncomfortable. That would seemingly be the explanation. But the Gemara continues and says that they would keep the table there, and therefore it wasn't an issue. And then Rav Sheshas says, I don't know about what you do, the Persians, but I can tell you what the Brisa says, and I know the Brisa. This is what it says in a Brisa. It says, what is the proper order of Heseba? That is, you have two beds, so the important person reclines first, and the second to importance is below him. That's different than what the Persians did. And the reason why it's different is because this answers his question. Who is he going to talk to? He's going to talk to that second in command. He can't talk to him if he's behind him. If he's by his head, you can't really talk to him. So it must be the better way to do it, according to what Rav Sheshas is saying, is you go below, you recline below the important person, and you're by his feet, and therefore you could speak to him, and you don't have to get up. Now, when there's three beds with three recliners, so then he actually does like the Persians. You have the important person is there first, then comes the second to importance is above, and the third to importance is below. And this is a little surprising because you would think, what do you mean? You just asked a question on the Persians. You yourself are really doing the same thing. And this, we explained that you don't have much of a choice. He's got to give some type of respect to the second in command over the first in command. And because of that, the second in command has to be above the third in command. Now, the real question is, why can't you have it that the important person is on top and let the other people be below him, the second in command and third in command below each other? Why can't you do it that way? And the commentaries ask this question because that way you would actually, it would seem like it would be perfect. Then you have no problems. First one can talk to the second, the most important can talk to the second of importance, and he has no problem. And then the second is above the third. So you have them all in order, right? It seems like a good question. But the answer that, from what I understand, is that the important person needs to be in the middle. That's the honor for him. He deserves to be in the middle, and because of that, we have it that the second in command is above by his head, and the third in command is by his feet. And if he needs anything, he tells the third in command. And he can tell him to tell the second in command anything. So that's the order of the reclining. Then the Gemara talks about washing. Now, Mayim Rishonim Aschilin Men Hagadol, it says you start from the important person, and once he washes his hands, they bring him his table, and he starts eating. And seems like that's the same as it seems like it's the same as the Persians, right? That's what it sounds like. It's doing exactly the same as the Persians. Now, the Gemara continues. It says that my machroinim depends on where how many people are there. There's only 5 people. Then the most important one washes first. This way he can concentrate on the bracha of the Brochos Hamazon and prepare himself. Now, if there's more than 5 people, like 100 or anything more than 5, then you start from the katan, you start from the least important person, and until you reach 5. When you buy the last 5, then you go to the gadol and you let him wash. In this way, he will have enough time to concentrate on what he needs, and he's also not waiting for everyone else, and so on. Now, we'll soon see that there's a little contradiction here, because later on it mentions that you're not supposed to be mechabed for mayim achreinim. You don't honor someone with the waters after a meal. So that does seem to be a little contradiction with this piece over here. But we'll answer that when we get up to the other stuff. Yes, Ben.
I think I heard you say that if it's more than 5, they start from the lowest level.
Yeah.
And go to the 5, and then they start from the most important, and then it goes to the one that's best. Is that true?
And then it goes, what was the last thing you said? After they go to the most important, the last 5, then it goes to?
Then then he gives it to the one that's going to bless.
No. The last 5.
Blessing.
He's the last 5. In other words, he gets it first among the last 5, and then you give it to the other 4 people who didn't wash, and then he blesses, right? The 5th to last benches.
Okay.
Is that clear? The 5th to the last one.
But if it's
washes.
only 5, is it the same order?
If it's only 5 people, again, you just give it to that person
If
who's
there's
on
only
the bench.
5, yeah.
Yeah, you give it to the one who's going to bench.
Oh, so it's a different order.
Well, I don't know if you call it
The
different
same
order. You don't
order?
have the other people there to wash first. I mean, I'm not sure what you mean
Right.
a different order. He's always first among the last five. So it always works that
Okay,
way.
okay. The
So
same
it's
order.
sort of, it's always, you
Okay.
could call it the same order because he's always first among the last five. Okay.
Yeah,
Now,
for the 5, it's the same order.
right. Exactly. Now, and the Brisa continues, says he's the one who benches, and the Gemara continues with this person who washes first among the last. My machrayim, he washes first among the last five. He is the one who does the grace after meal, and then it has that story that we already learned once before about Rav was a little insulted. He said he thought his hands are dirty because Rebbe told him go wash your hands. And Reb Chia explained to him that no, you're an important person, and therefore you're getting to bench, and that's why he's telling you to wash your hands for Mayim Achreinim. Then we had the Brisa that says in Mechabdin that you don't honor someone, not on the way when they're traveling, and that you let someone go first, and not on a bridge. And Taisus over here mentions that there is a other Gemara that implies that you do honor someone on the way. And Taisus explains that if you leave together, then you honor that person on the way. But if you're going your own, if you didn't leave together and you just meet up with someone, you bump into people, then there's not an obligation to show respect. In other words, if you're leaving together, so you should give respect to the other person. But while you're traveling, then it doesn't apply. And that's how he answers this contradiction. That our Gemara says you don't honor someone on the way. And there is another Gemara that does say that you do honor people along the way. So Taisa says that the difference is if you're the difference is if you left together, then you should give them respect. Let them go first, so to speak. Yes, Robert.
There's one
You-
passage with a
Yeah.
reference to son of a nobleman with an exclamation point. So I'm sort of curious if that's a status issue or some resentment, but that's again within
Yeah.
the text.
Yeah. That is a simple, honest statement that he's telling him that you are given the honor to say the
Okay.
grace because you come from the lineage. You have a
Okay.
special lineage, and it means you are the son of a nobleman.
But that doesn't have anything to deal with being a Kohanim. It's just, again, a
No.
different social status
No,
and not a
it-
religious status.
It's his lineage. He comes from Hillel, I
Okay.
think.
Okay,
and,
good.
Yeah, I'd have to look up the other Gemara. I think they mentioned it on the other. See, we had that Gemara a little before, and where is it over there? It's see, that was a previous Gemara. It was in the previous chapter. But yeah,
Okay.
I don't remember the lineage, but I believe it's I believe Hillel and all the famous the family of the Rabbi Gamliel and the family of the Nasi, of the leaders, I believe is from that lineage.
All the Chacham, huh? Okay,
Now all the great
Right.
leaders of the generation.
right, yeah, got it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, is that right? Maybe I have to take a look just to be sure. I'm not 100% sure. I have to look it up. But the Gemara. But that he meant it honestly, like you're being honored because you're important.
Mem Gimel Amud Aleph down at the
Oh,
about,
thank you.
about a quarter of the
Gimel
way,
Amud Aleph.
or a quarter of the way up from the bottom.
Yeah. So let's see over here. So I think what we need to do is pull out Isaac's book on the who Rav was. Let's just pull it up over here. And we'll pull up Rav.
Is that the introduction to the Talmud book?
Yeah,
Okay.
so that would be the place to see his lineage. Rav is, his real name was Reb Abba. And one of the most frequently cited sages in all of the Talmud. And just being called Rav bears testimony to that great esteem which he was held. He was also called Abba Aricha because he was the tallest man in his generation. Wow.
Mm.
And he was exceptionally handsome and robust. He studied in Eretz Yisrael. Rav was a key figure who bridged the era of the Tanoim and the era of the Amoraim. He studied under his uncle Reb Chia, and then he joined Reb Chia and his sons when they went to Eretz Yisrael. So he was a native of Babylon, but he went to Eretz Yisrael, studied in Eretz Yisrael. And
What page is that on?
page 421.
Thank you.
Anyway, so he became a disciple of Rebbe, the redactor of the Mishnah, and may have even assisted Rebbe in this monumental project. He later returned to Babylon, and where he established the Academy of Tzura, lasted for 8 centuries until the end of the Gaonic era. Wow. Rav was acknowledged as leading the leading sage in Babylonia. He taught thousands of students, and his teachings, rulings are cited all over the Talmud. Together with his close colleague Shmuel, he laid the foundation for what was known as Talmud Bavli. His family descended from that of Shimei, the brother of King David, according to other versions, from King David himself, and was blessed with many respected Torah scholars. Rav's great-grandfather was named Salah of Kafri. His son was Acha, and Acha's son was Abba. Abba had I guess it goes backwards.
But we have references to both of those rabbis in the text also.
What's the name of that book that you're reading from, Rabbi?
I'm reading from it's written, but it's published by ArtScroll. It's called The Introduction to the Talmud.
Okay,
But
thank you.
there are
Yeah.
a number of books like this that have I think this is probably the best one on each of the Tanoim, the Tanoim and the Amoraim. Anyway, so it mentions the names of his, so Abba had 5 sons who all became Torah scholars: Eva, Chana, Sheila, Marsa, no, Chana, probably, Chana. It's a man's name, not to be confused with Chana, Chana. Sheila, Marsa, Reb, according to, in Reb. Abba's 4 older sons were from his first wife. He then married another woman. Okay, so basically, his lineage seems to be not what I thought. It's basically it comes from King David. So probably because he's from the tribe of Judah, and from either from King David himself or from the brother of David HaMelech. And he had great scholars, but I guess not as known. There was Acha, and Abba, Salah, Salav Kafri, and ultimately he was given this honor of called a Bar Paxi. Okay. Anyway, it mentions a lot more here, but I don't know that everyone wants to read about Rav. I think we were just looking to figure out his lineage. And I guess that's it. Okay.
Can I mention two other books, if I may?
Yes, you may.
Okay. Here's one. The Encyclopedia of Talmud, Gershon Beta, a rather large book, has a lot of information in it.
Okay.
Easily digested. And Rabbi Beryl Wine has a similar book there.
Okay. Wow. Thank you very much for sharing. Yes, I did
Great.
mention there are a few different books on these. There are others as well. I think I've seen others. In fact, even Steinsaltz I think has a book as well. But maybe and I think there's another book of the Tanaim and Amir. There are a number of other books as well. Okay. So anyway, bottom line is we have the story here of Rav Sheshes, the exilarch, discussing the minhag of the by meal and how to honor someone and so on. And then the Gemara mentioned the story of Rav and Reb Chia. They were sitting by Rebbe, and Rebbe told Rav to go wash his hands. And okay, and then we started talking about the honoring someone to go first when they're traveling. And on this, we said, we brought a brisa, and the brisa had said that you don't honor someone traveling and not on a when traveling on the way and not on a bridge. Now it's interesting. Rashi over here does mention hoilchei drachim, that when they're going on the way, to tell someone, to a greater person than you, to go before me. So one of the commentaries wants to say that it's specifically referring to when you're traveling outside the city, because you're called a hoilchei drachim. If you're in the city, they want to say that Rashi doesn't hold this way. If you're in the city, then you should honor someone who's important. When you're traveling, outside the city, that's when this law would apply. That's the way they understand Rashi. There's such an understanding of Rashi, and there are those that argue on that. But that's the way they bring from. That's how some of the commentaries seem to understand Rashi. And one of the commentaries brings down what's the reason for this. So number one, it could be when you're traveling these outside the city, so the roads are not so perfect. They don't have people in charge. They don't have the transportation department checking out, making sure everything's safe. So it actually is more dangerous to the person who's in front of you than for the person who's behind you, who's behind him. Because the person who's traveling first is the one who's going to fall in a hole or is going to trip on something. And the one behind him knows to be careful because he sees the other guy lying down on the floor because he tripped first. And so so in a certain sense, it's a bigger danger for the person who's traveling first. And therefore, it's more respectful for you to go first and let the important person go behind you. Now, that's one of the explanations. And he brings a verse, he brings the source for this, that when Jacob was traveling to Esau, what does it say? It says that Leah and her children were after the others. And Rashi says the later is more cherished. And he says that's the reason. Because if you're later, you're safer. And he says that's the same reason about a bridge, same thing. Now, then he says, now when you're entering a house with a mezuzah, he says that's a place of safety because a mezuzah has on it the shin and the dalet and the yud. And so it means it's emphasizing that Hashem watches over the doorways of the Jewish people. So there you wouldn't have to worry about giving honor and letting the other person go first because he's entering into a place of safety.
Shomer Dalsois Israel.
That's according to the at least according to the understanding, the initial understanding of the Gemara. Now, this commentary, it's called the Sifsei Chachamim. So he says that this could also fit with Tosfos, because Tosfos says that I just mentioned Tosfos before, that Tosfos had said that there's a difference between if you're meeting up with someone along the way, or in other words, you bumped into someone along the way, or you left together. That if you leave together, you're leaving together, then what you're basically saying is that when you go together, it's like you're accepting on yourself to honor the person, and to that you're traveling together. So you need to give him, you need to let him go first. But so he says that could fit as well. In other words, there are certain exceptions to the rule. Normally, you should go first and pave the way. Don't just honor someone. Oh, you take the gamble, take the risk. You go on the edge and check it out. That wouldn't. But if you're traveling together from the beginning, then it's like you're honoring the person to go first. He can travel first. So he says that that's not a contradiction the way Tosfos explained it to this. Okay, so that's one little point over here about the traveling and if it's dangerous. The Gemara continued, and we now turn the page to 47a, and it says that you don't honor someone with yadayim mezayamos. And this is where we had the contradiction that earlier it said that you do honor someone with yadayim mezayamos with regard to washing mayim achronim, and you're supposed to let him go the first of the last five. You're honoring someone. First of the last five does the mayim achronim. So why is he not doing the mayim achronim? Why is it saying here that you don't honor someone with mayim achronim? So on this, the answer is that you're not really honoring someone with the mayim achronim. Rather, you're honoring the bracha that the person who's going to be leading the benching should be able to prepare for the bracha. And therefore, you're having him say wash first so he could prepare and concentrate on the bracha that he's going to be reciting first. Now, according to this, I have a question. When you give the important person to bench, he's going to lead the benching, you give him, he's the last of the last, he's the first of the last five, you give him to wash mayim achronim. You have people of different levels that are sitting there. The last five people are all different levels. Should you give it to the most important person, is the fifth to last? Then the fourth to the last, should that be the second to most important? And the third to last should be the third to the last most important? Or does it not make a difference? You get my question? Should you do it in the order of importance, or does it not matter? Yes, Susan.
I'm going to say that it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Why?
Because you don't want to insult the other people by putting one first and the other one. In other words, you want to make everybody feel comfortable.
Okay, for comfort, not to embarrass anyone.
Correct.
Okay. Any other? Anyone else want to have an opinion over here? Yes, Simone.
I also have an opinion. So I'm agreeing with Susan, and I would say, in addition to that, that when you get to you're talking about, everybody is pretty high level at these meals. You get to the last five, it's a very minor distinction probably between one and another.
No, my example is there is a difference in the distinction. One of them only knows how to read Hebrew. The other one knows how to learn Mishnah. The other one is a Talmudic scholar. And the other one is a great rabbi, a huge, great speaker. So no, there's a significant difference between these last five.
Well, then it becomes a matter of your opinion of something. But I'm thinking that when you've got the one who's the leader, then the rest of them are sort of, everybody's in a secondary position, and you can consider them as equivalents.
So you're keeping to your opinion. You're not backing it. Even if I change even though I explained the example is different than you initially understood, you're still following that. And the reason is because you're saying everyone is, because the fifth, the greatest is causing everyone else to become like nothing.
No, that's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is, in a sense, it's like, if I can give a completely different example, you have an election, one person wins. So it doesn't matter if somebody else came in second, third, fourth, or fifth, there's only one winner. So you've got the one person who's leading it, and the rest of the people after that, it doesn't matter.
But I don't know why you're so convinced that that should be that way by benching. I mean, it's not, it's an interesting example if you're talking about, if it's just benching is a winner. Here we're talking about honoring people. I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know that there's an honor below, in a sense, the first honor. There's an honor, and then the rest of it is just, you're not in the category of standing on the podium.
Right. So the answer to this is based on this contradiction that I just mentioned, really. I mean, I'm not saying any of you are wrong. You're actually along the right path, but I think there's a little wording that I would emphasize to answer this question properly. In other words, you're both correct in your answers. It seems like the contradiction we had was that should you show honor to the people washing mayim achronim, the water at the end of the meal. When you wash your fingertips, do you show honor to someone? And we have a contradiction. One place it says you do not show honor to people in the washing of the mayim achronim, which would mean we don't care about anyone and we don't care about their importance. And the other place says you give to the most important person to be the first of the last five. So implying that you do give honor. And so this seemingly would be the difference. According to one opinion, you do give honor, which would mean give honor. The other opinion would be that you don't. The problem is it's a contradiction. And so how do you reconcile a contradiction? And when you reconcile the contradiction, then you'll have to figure out if this fits. So the way we reconcile the contradiction was that we said that you don't give honor. Okay, if you don't give honor, then of course we don't care about any one of the other of those people. And why are we letting this more important person wash the first to the last five? Only because we need him to prepare for the benching. So we aren't giving him honor, not because he won, because we never give honor for the washing the mayim achronim. We give honor to someone to bench properly, and we want him to prepare his benching. We're giving honor to the benching, but we never honor someone with washing the mayim achronim. So this, I think, clarifies this rule. Yes, Susan.
And the Steins also says the one who is going to recite the grace after meals washes his hands first.
Right.
That's
I thought you were going to prove me wrong. Ugh.
No.
Oh.
That's what it says in the Steins also.
Okay, yeah.
That's correct. Correct, obviously. Okay.
Okay. So then we had this story of Ravin and Abai. Yeah, looks like Ben wants to
Rabbi?
say. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think the all of
I can't hear you. You somehow
You're
it's
breaking up.
down.
Ben, you're breaking up.
me now.
You're still
Can you
breaking
hear
up,
me
Ben.
now?
Now I can.
Okay. Okay. not.
No, he's unstable.
Oh. We got to get you a better internet over there, Ben. I don't know.
He's in a different room than usual.
Thank you.
Yeah, you'll have to text me the question or something. Okay, so the next Gemara spoke about Ravin, and Abaye that were traveling, and Abaye was a little surprised because the donkey of Ravin went before Abaye. Now, Abaye was obviously a much greater scholar than Ravin, and Ravin was going first. And he was surprised that Ravin didn't tell him, you should go first. So Abaye thought, and this is a little surprising, that he thought that, Mistama, it seems like this guy is arrogant. He went and studied in Israel. He thinks he knows everything, He studied from some scholar. All of a sudden he thinks he's the greatest brains in town. Well, so he that's what he thought. But when they came to the house or the entrance of the Beis HaKnesses of the shul, he said, Ravin told Abaye, he says, no, you go first. Go, like to honor you. So Abaye said, what, until now I wasn't important, now I'm important. Why are you honoring me now? So he said, this is what Rabbi Yochanan says, Ein mechabdin ela b'pesach sheyesh ba mezuzah. You don't honor someone only by an entrance that has a mezuzah, which is very similar to the previous Gemara that said you don't honor someone on, when you're traveling. But then that's how Ravin had understood that he wasn't supposed to honor Abaye when he was traveling. And but when do you honor someone? Only in the entrance that has a mezuzah, and therefore I did not honor you until now. Now I'm honoring you, but until now I didn't honor you. Now the Gemara asks, the isbei mezuzah in. Actually, let's read this whole Gemara inside. Ravin. Let's start with Ravin. Let's start at the top of the page. 47a, top of the page. Ravin va'Abaye havaka azli borcha. Ravin and Abaye were traveling on the way. Kadme chamore de Ravin, the chamor, the donkey of Ravin, went earlier than to Abaye. First Ravin went, and then Abaye's donkey went. Like Amarle, nasal mar, and Ravin did not tell Abaye, you should go. Let master go before me. So Amar, Abaye thought and said to himself, "Be the Solakaimer Rabbanon, since this rabbi came from the west, meaning from Eretz Yisrael, Gasle Daite. It seems like he became arrogant." So anyway, Kimata Lepischa Dvei Kanishta, when he came to the entrance of the Beis HaKnesses of the shul, so Amar Le Neol Mar. So Ravin told Abaye, let master go first. So now he honored him. All of a sudden, he's honoring him. So Amar Le, so Abaye said back to him, "But Hashalav Marona, until now I wasn't the master, and you didn't honor me. So now all of a sudden you're waking up." Amar Le, Hachi Amar Rabbi Yochanan. This is what Rabbi Yochanan said in Mechabdin El B'Pesach Sheish B'Mezuzah. You don't honor someone only by an entrance that has a mezuzah. Until now, I didn't honor you because it was on the way. But when there's a house, a place with a mezuzah, then you honor someone. So the Gemara asks that the isbei mezuzah in the less ba mezuzah loy. If there is a mezuzah, yes, you honor someone. If there isn't a mezuzah, then you don't have to honor the important person, the scholar. And Elamayata, according to this, Beis HaKnesses of Beis HaMedrash, according to this, Beis HaKnesses of Beis HaMedrash, the less bahu mezuzah that doesn't have a mezuzah, because Beis HaKnesses, Beis HaMedrash don't always need a mezuzah. Hachinami dein mechabdin. Is this also true that you don't have to honor someone to go in first? I mean, this happens all the time. You open the door for the rabbi, so you don't have to honor someone to go in. So So Elaema b'Pesach haroy lemezuzah, when it's a proper doorway, that's fit for a mezuzah, that's when you honor someone. But if it's not a proper doorway, if it's traveling, then you wouldn't honor someone, which definitely deserves some understanding based on what exactly is the meaning behind this. Yes, Ezra.
I thought, as I was reading this, I thought that perhaps just as a mezuzah gives more hashivut to the place to which it is attached. Here, Ravin is basically doing the same thing to Abaye. And so therefore, a place that has hashivut because of the mezuzah, which is guarded by Hashem. So he is saying just as this mezuzah is guarding this house, so I will honor you by letting you go first, so to speak.
Right. But I think what you're saying is that the meaning behind this is that only a place of chashivas is where you honor someone. If it's not a place of chashivas, then it's not really an honor. You honor someone. Is that something that you're? That's the simple understanding, maybe, but that's, I think, what you're bringing out. That would be an understanding of this Gemara, that it's that a place that doesn't need a mezuzah doesn't really show honor. If it doesn't need a mezuzah, needing a mezuzah is an emphasis that this is a proper place. A proper place, you honor someone to go first. If it's some garbage dump, you don't necessarily want to honor. It's not such an honor to let someone go and throw their garbage out before you. But a place of honor, you open the door, you show honor. But you're taking it a little further. You're saying that just like a mezuzah, right? You were taking it a little further than that.
I'm saying that the mezuzah increases, I guess, the importance of the place itself. And so therefore, Ravin allows him to go, basically says, Master, go first, because you are more important than I am. And so therefore, you should go into this place, which now has a greater importance because there's a mezuzah there.
Right. Now, the thing is that it's a little unclear. The shul that they went to, the simple understanding of our Gemara, I should mention, is that the Gemara is asking this point based on this story, meaning, really? Only a place of mezuzah is where you honor someone? So then why are you honoring Abaye in this shul? A shul doesn't need a mezuzah. In other words, he's specifically asking, on your story, then why are you honoring this person? Why are you honoring Abaye? Why is Ravin honoring Abaye when they went to a shul? The shul doesn't have a mezuzah.
Yeah, but
and on that,
here's the point. So why doesn't a shul require a mezuzah?
Yeah, we tried to touch it
because it's so full of svarim, which is increasing its importance. It may have a Sefer Torah there. That's increasing its importance.
But I'm not sure, Ezra, is now.
It's not Peisecha. Peisecha v'sharecha.
I think what you're saying was something we learn in Chumash about Kairach. He said a house full of svarim, it shouldn't need a mezuzah, and Moshe didn't really like that too much.
No,
even though it says that Kairach was well, he also spoke about Chelas.
So then I asked the question.
But
based
yeah.
upon that statement,
right.
Then Moshe said you should put a mezuzah there. So why isn't there a mezuzah on the door? Okay.
Very good.
Therefore, you're the whole point. These things are contradicting themselves. All I'm saying is that the fact that you have a Beit Medrash or a Beit Knesset which are full of books and increase the importance of the place itself, the building itself.
Mhm.
That's it's ra'ui lemezuzah, but it's not necessary for it to be there. And so therefore Ravin is saying, because this place has increased hashivut, I'm saying to you, you are more important than I am, so therefore you have the right to go first before me.
Mhm, mhm. Right. Well, I'm not disagreeing with your concept. In other words, a place of a mezuzah is important, and he's saying that you know when it comes to a place of importance, you are more important than I am. I mean, it's pretty. I think that's definitely there's definitely that's a point here that's clear that he wants to honor him, similar to and the fact that it's a place of a mezuzah is it because a place that's deserves a mezuzah is emphasizing that such a place is just like that's more honorable, then therefore you're more you deserve more honor, or he's saying a place of a mezuzah is a place of honor. I am giving, I give you honor in such a place. I mean, I think it's along the same line. I don't know that it's so much of a difference in the explanation, but definitely I'm glad you brought out that point about the mezuzah being a place of honor. Now, about what you said about Beis HaKnesses having Sfarim being holy, it is very interesting because the Rambam does say that the Rambam brings down in the laws of mezuzah, he says that the Temple Mount, the chambers, the courtyards, the shul, the house of learning, that don't have a place to live, that they don't have apartments in which people live, they do not require mezuzahs because they are holy. Now, what does that mean? Because they are holy, they don't need mezuzahs. It has nothing to do with holy. The Chassam Sofer asks a big question on this Rambam. He says that why does the Rambam say that the entrances don't need mezuzah because they're holy? They are not used as dwellings. Right, that's the real source is a dwelling, and that sounds along like what Ezra was saying. You're sort of quoting the Rambam, Ezra, because the Rambam also uses such a term, like it's holy, not specifically the books, but just the concept of being a place of. So the Chassam Sofer answers a powerful statement. He says, you know what it means? It means that it's Hashem dwells there, so it is a place of dwelling. But it's a dwelling of holy of Hashem. It's not a human dwelling. So he says, in a certain sense, you would say maybe you should be obligated. This the Shechina is dwelling there. This is the indwell of Hashem. This is the dwelling. So it's the reason it doesn't need it is because it's not yours. It's not human. It's not a human house, but it's not a human place of dwelling. But it is a place of dwelling, and therefore he says that's what the Rambam. That's the meaning of the Rambam. It's kodesh. It's only a holy dwelling. It's not a human. It's not your house. Beisecha, as Isaac mentioned, that the Gemara says that it has to be Beisecha. Gemara, not here. Gemara in Yuma mentions that it has to be your dwelling. So in other words, it has to be human dwelling, and so that would be the reason that a Beis HaKnesses, Beis HaMedrash doesn't need a mezuzah unless you do things that you normally would do in your, that you would do in a place of living. And that's why Beis Medrash, some say needs a mezuzah because people, they eat there, they sleep there, they hang out there all day. The place, even a shul, if there's an outside room, if there's a place where they stay, they would also be obligated in a mezuzah, the outside room of the shul, and so on. And nowadays, I tried to look up why nowadays we have mezuzah, because that's what we were bothered with yesterday. Why nowadays do we put mezuzahs on the doors, on the doorway?
It's a big fundraising campaign.
So that's true. That's true. You can sometimes sell a mezuzah for $18,000 sponsored. But I see here in my Rambam, I have an English translation here. He says, in the present era, it is an accepted practice to place mezuzahs on all doors of synagogues because they are also used for communal needs other than prayer. The Shulchan Aruch suggests affixing a mezuzah without reciting a bracha beforehand. So it seems like nowadays our shuls are sort of like used for other communal events and so on, and eating and farbrengens, kiddushes and so on. And that would be a reason to put a mezuzah up, but you don't recite a bracha.